as you know, guys, we have teamed up with teamwallart.com. Absolutely fantastic. They make fantastic metal plaques, as you can see here. Everton, a good Everton badge. You've got the man himself, James Rodriguez, there for all of our Colombian fans. They do worldwide delivery. Let me say that again. Worldwide delivery. 10% off with the discount code BBN10. And if you get on the website now, you'll see different plaques ranging from $7.99 with some down to $5.99. So get yourselves over to teamwallart.com using the discount code BBN10, because honestly, you have no idea how much it helps the channel and helps a family business grow. The link is, of course, in the description below. Get yourselves over to teamwallart.com now, guys. Buy yourselves a plaque. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I'm here with Dan from the Cricket Field End. Dan's got a new YouTube channel, so anyone who is watching this now, Dan's channels will be in the description below. Go and subscribe to it. I was the first video to go on his channel, so it's an absolute pleasure. Dan, are you shitting yourself?
No, today I'm all right. Although I've had a fruit drink, so it's tempting. I might have to rush off to bog at some point.
Yeah, let's get straight into it. Will it be number one or number? No, I'm joking. Obviously, Burnley come to Goodison Park, 5:30 kickoff on Saturday. Everton's team news has just come out following Ancelotti's press conference that he does, and Everton still have no James. Sigurdsson's injured. Abdoulaye Doucouré is also out. However, returning will most likely be Tom Davies from the start. Obviously, we did a video on your channel, which is more in depth than this one. So, guys, if you miss anything, go over to Dan's. It was fantastic last night. But from a Burnley perspective, is the fact that James isn't playing a good thing for you guys? Were you worried about him before the game?
I mean, you've got to do players like that, you know, especially if they turn up on the day and they play out the skin, which half the time you could be probably a League Two player and turn up out your skin against Burnley and have game of your life. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be a massive loss to Everton as well, because, you know, that attacking threat going forward. It's like you said in our video the other day, you know, Calvert-Lewin's kind of dried up in a little bit and has his little patchy spells. So, you know, losing another side of your attacking threat could only be really a beneficial factor for us.
Yeah, I think the way that Everton are set up, and we spoke about this last night, but I think the way Everton are set up is, being the home team, they want to be fairly aggressive. They want to try and get a result. They try and want to score early, but I suspect, as we both said last night, it's going to be a really, really
definitely
high shit game, I think. How do you think Burnley will line up?
Probably the same as usual, really. I mean, Dash is so loyal; he doesn't change anything. I don't even think he changes his underpants. I mean, that's how bad it is. It's but like I say, probably Pope in goal, Lawton at right back, me Tarks, Peters in for the injured Charlie Taylor, Goodmanson on the right, Brownhill and Westwood in the centre, McNeil on the left, and Wood and Vidra up top. I mean, he has to. We've not got another game after you for 3 weeks until Easter weekend. So why not throw everything at it, go for it, and try and at least get the 3 points, get a welcome break, and rejuvenate?
Yeah, bloody hell. It's a long time to not have a game.
It's an even better time after your first video to prepare for your second.
Yeah, that's it. Well done.
Yeah, boy.
Well done, lads. What? You see, I think I've sort of sat there and I have done about 10 different Everton teams in my head. The match preview team that I said, I now look at it and think it probably won't be that. Interesting comment by Carlo Ancelotti today that he was asked a question about a front three of Richarlison, Josh King and Calvert-Lewin, which I think when we spoke on your video...
Yeah, that's what you said, yeah.
And that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a front three of them three because, you know, Josh King's got that pace. We know he had quality at Bournemouth.
last January he was linked with a move to Man United for 20 million. So he's not a bad player.
No. Would he be on your right hand side of your attack as well?
I suspect so. Yeah, I suspect
Because
so.
I'm just saying, if with Charlie Taylor being out, you've got Eric Peters, who's late in his 30s. He's not really one of the paciest guys we've got at the club. I mean, I don't even think we've got a pacey guy at the club. But with Josh King against him, especially, he's one of those sort of left backs as well that kind of wants to invite you, suck you in, but doesn't go for that killer punch of putting his foot in either, which could be a real dangerous threat for us to be up against.
Yeah, and I think Josh King will like being sucked in and not punched in the face. I think he'll love that.
Hopefully not.
In terms of the rest of the team, Luca Dean will start. He'll create width and a bit of creativity on the left-hand side of the pitch. But yeah, I'm a bit worried about Everton's midfield because I'm struggling to see where the creativity is going to come from. If he starts Andre Gomez, Davis, and Allen, I don't know where a forward pass is being made. Andre Gomez makes a lot of sideways passes. Tom Davis is better at winning a ball back than he is charging through a team. And Alan's known as a warrior in the middle of the park. So I've got to be honest, a lot is going to be put on players like Luca Dean and Josh King and Richarlison to try and get the ball to Calvert-Lewin in spaces he can score, because we've not had that for the last few weeks. We've been short. That's why he hasn't scored. Calvert-Lewin hasn't had bad games. He just hasn't had any service at all. And
I think that's where it'll be interesting with Luca Dean and Goodmanson out on the right. I mean, Goodmanson's a player that he likes to get forward, but he doesn't sort of rear off to the wing. McNeil will try and take it right up to the bar line and whip it in. Yeah. Where Goodmanson likes to kind of cut in and hopefully get a shot across goal, or try and find it. And if there is nothing there, we kind of work it back, falls to the feet of Lawton, who puts an early ball in. Now, if that was to work out, it'd potentially catch Luca Dean out, maybe. But then, yet again, I don't know. I think that's where the interesting battle is going to be on that right-hand side. Because if McNeil's not as lackluster and lazy as he's been in the last couple of weeks, because for me, don't get me wrong, on his day, he's an absolute world beater, like one of the best young players in the Premier League. But I think he has 2 or 3 good games, and then sort of, I don't know, sort of runs around the pitch with some sort of like can't be arsed attitude.
I'm glad you've mentioned him, because he's a player that I really rate, but obviously I don't see him week in, week out like you do. He seems to have real quality. He reminds me a little bit of that David Brooks at Bournemouth, but just a better version. He's sort of, he can beat someone with ease. Like, it doesn't look difficult. He doesn't necessarily have to do step overs and fucking pivots and all sorts of turns. He just beats the man. Like,
I think that's one of the things that we need at Burnley as well, though, because you look back at the wingers we've had over the years. I mean, going back from when I was little, there was, Glenn Little, who used to just, he sort of reminds me of that. He's that gangly type, winger that's can somehow just whip a ball on and put it on a sixpence for the strikers. But after him, we had sort of Wade Elliott. He used to like bombing down the sides. After a while, he started kind of cutting in, which everyone were getting like, what you doing at middle at Park for? Get out wide. You used to hear it week in, week out. But that were back in the days where you'd have that whiff of cigar smoke coming across. So that's going back a couple of years. But yeah, it's our wingers are pretty much our danger threat going forward. Our strikers obviously like the hustle and bustle. So it's a case of if they're hustle and bustling and in the right position at the same time, we'll grab something. But we're not a team that scores a shitload of amount of goals. We grab the odd 1 or 2 and kind of rest on it. But I think it's like I said when I said yesterday about the pressing, we've started doing that a lot more, which has made us a lot more interesting to watch. because you kind of feel like you're out of it, and then you get a moment like that Arsenal game where Xhaka just basically, if Wood were in an Arsenal shirt, Arsenal fans would have been celebrating like no tomorrow. But
yeah.
It's obviously all down to that pressing and the thing that Dash wants them to do.
Yeah, talking about managers. Obviously, Wilde has been sacked from Sheffield United today, and I know it's not really touching on the game, but just wanted to get your thoughts on it because it seems a bit fucking mad.
I think that's silly, mate. I think that's probably one of the silliest things they've done, and I think that's obviously because they've got the powers that be above. They've obviously got a bit of money with is it Bin Laden's cousin or uncle or whatever he is that owns it? God knows. But he's come in. Wilder's done brilliant for him. We could have done the exact same thing. We went up under Dash and went straight back down. People were caught. There were a section that were saying, right, well, clearly something's not right, get rid. But you've got to take a risk over reward sort of scenario in your head. And we kind of stuck with him. After that, we went on the 23 undefeated season in the Championship, got promoted, won the league. The EFL didn't like us. They didn't even bring the trophy to Charlton on the final day. We had to. I think there's a picture of Tom Eaton holding a blow-up trophy. It's little scenes like that. But we had that season. Then we rode that wave. Ended up, Europa. It was just mad, absolutely mad. And this is from a guy that people were questioning. I think I saw some of him say recently that we got beat 1-0 off Hull. And people were slaughtering him, saying, what are you playing at, sort of thing. And he said, but if someone wants to say now over a quiet pant, were his words, because he seems to like including having a pant in all his conversations.
Yeah, he's
Mucky Brown water. Yeah, he is. He wants a festival, does that lad? He wants a festival and a piss up. But he said, if anyone was to say to me over a pant that, in 8 years' time, you'd have hit the 250 points in the Premier League mark as a manager. He said he'd have snapped their hand off, and you can't fault him. What he's done for this club, like I say, there's a pub named after him that's also doing its own lager named after him. I mean, don't know what's going to happen if he were to leave. I mean, it's not like Owen Coyle, who took the sideways move to Bolton, who were apparently 10 years ahead of us. But yeah, I just think there's not much you can criticise Dash for. Yes, it's ugly football at times. And Arteta came out because Dash saying about the screaming in the Arsenal game again.
Yeah.
He said it's funny to waste something like that from a team that uses their strengths to weaken an opponent. And I was just thinking, hold on a minute. Yeah, you're right with what you've said, but that's such a Michael Owen comment. It's such a everybody's out. That's why you buy players. That person's got certain strengths. That's the strengths you need on that right hand side to be more aggressive. That's what you need at the back to have more of a back four part the bus style defensive unit. You buy people on the basis of their traits, their attributes. You're not buying them just because you're not. People look at it from the outside and think you're buying a name. You're not just buying a name.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Jamie Vardy and Wes Morgan and everyone that season that Leicester did really well. And yet, Man City went and bought Mahrez, who always seems to get an hat-trick against us because he's an arse. But that's, but it again, like we were saying yesterday, you went into Norwich, you looked at Norwich, and the big hitters were Pookie, Todd Cantwell, Max Aarons, and you've plucked out Ben Godfrey, and he's turned out to be an absolute astute signing.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one.
I find it mad. Wilder got this team from League One, promoted. They almost got into Europe last season. And
some of his signings have been a bit questionable, though. I mean, you've got to look at the fact he signed Luke Freeman from QPR, I think from QPR, because he was playing well. And then in the same season, after about 2 games, shipped him out on loan. You've had, Oliver Burke, who at West Brom was constantly in and out of that team, got shipped out on loan to some foreign club, come back and is now, is that a cheap option signing? I mean, up front, they've got a 30-odd-year-old, proper arse end of his career in David McGoldrick. They signed a lad from Swansea who's pretty much in and out at press for whatever he's doing, turning up at Swansea games and flick it V's at away fans, which I don't think is a bad thing. If you're a fan, we all do it. But yeah, some of his signings have been sort of Championship, League One style signings. But sometimes you pluck out a gem. That squad was the same, very similar squad to what they had. This year I thought they were going to go for it, because the fact that they spaffed basically 20 million on Ryan Brewster.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that at Swansea was banging form, knocking goals in left, right, and centre. I don't know whether, I'm sure he finished top goal scorer. And then, it turns up there and it's constant. It's just completely dried up. I said that someone Burnley should have gone in for, similar with Josh King. We wanted to be in there, but we only offered a flaming bottle of this crap and a half-eaten Twix, so we didn't really get a look in. So I do feel for Wilder, though, because he's a Sheffield bloke, though, isn't he? It's a tough one, but sometimes have they kind of looked at that we can't look at it as, we know he's a Sheffield lad, loyalty and all that bollocks. I'm sorry, but this is a results business. See you later. And because they've got money and they've spent a bit, can they go in for a bit more of a profile? I think perfect person would have been someone like Big Sam if he wasn't at a club, but I can't say. I don't know. I don't know who you'd put in there. I really don't. I don't think you could have. I don't think Eddie Howe would touch that sort of side. I can't see. Like I say, I can't think of anyone. It's mad. Potentially. You do feel for him. Like I say, you do feel for him, and
I just think the timing's weird. That's all. I mean, why not sack him sooner so they've got a chance of staying up, or later because you want to change your plans in the Championship? Anyway, let's move on. A player I want to mention to you is a right back who plays for Celtic. He's on loan. His name's Jonjoe Kenny. Now, as far as Everton understood, and at least I I think a lot of the fan base understood, he was going to Burnley.
Yeah. I didn't understand that, because it was pretty much concrete that he was on his way, and there were talks and everything else. And everyone was sharing it. You had all your people share. Just I don't know whether it was just word of mouth, but people were saying that they've seen him with representatives at the training ground and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, he's gone off to Celtic. And it was so strange, because it's like, but you could come in at Burnley at a time where Phil Bardsley was basically cementing that right back position, because Lowton were a bit cropped, out of form. Since coming back from injury, I don't know what they've done to his boot. I don't know what's gone on, like different Vaseline or whatever they're using, but he's turned absolutely class since he's come back. And I can't fault that. But he's a young lad, and Everton fans thought we rate him. He's all right, but he is sceptical to the odd mistake every now and again. There is the odd one where I think it's more of he's caught out of position quite a bit. He likes to wander. He's a bit of a right-sided Patrice Evra that bombs forward and can't be arsed coming back. But the Celtic move is the one that struggled for me, because Rangers were miles ahead. Nothing were going to change at Celtic. You're going in there for what? Just to play a bit of football. You could have come to Burnley and tried challenge and still been a Premier League player, which I think is more appealing, because now you've gone over to Celtic. If you're not cutting it at Celtic, your estimation as a player is going to have dropped even more.
But it already has. That's the thing at Everton. So to put it in perspective, I don't know a single Everton fan that would keep him. I don't know a single Everton fan that would keep him. We wanted him to be sold because it helps with money. I think in the summer we wanted £12 million, and he was on loan at Schalke last season. Schalke are bottom of the Bundesliga, so they're struggling. Probably ain't got the money for that.
Yeah, they wanted him permanently at one point, didn't they? I think they wanted to sign him permanently.
Then I suspected he was going to Burnley, and I thought, well, maybe we won't get 12 million, maybe we won't get 6 or 8 million, but I would have took it. Then when it turns out he's going on loan to Celtic, I didn't get it. But, you know, I wish every Everton player who's on loan well, but I can't see him playing for Everton Football Club again, to be honest.
No, I mean your youth system's pretty solid. Like I say, you've churned out Jack Rodwell, Dan Gosling. You've had Wayne Rooney come through. Like I say, you've got Tom Davies now. You've got Matthew Pennington. I'll tell you, you've got some real. Who's that guy that did you sell him or did you release him to Norwich? I forgot what it's called. He went out on loan to a few clubs. I think he were at Forest.
Kieran Dowell.
Yeah, I thought he were a good little player, and I was surprised that he actually were released or sold. I'm not sure, but I thought he were a decent little player.
The thing with the Everton Academy, and look, this is just my opinion because there might be Everton fans that shoot me down for this, but I don't understand because. For example, if you go back 5 years ago, Luke Garbett played for Everton in the Europa League. He looked fantastic. He looked brilliant. After 8 games, we never see him again. He ends up progressively getting worse, and now I think he's at Blackpool. Kieran Dowell, a player that maybe at times last season and the season before could have played ahead of Sigurdsson because Sigurdsson was not at the races. Kieran Dowell deserves some game time. Never got it. We've got a player called Benny Beningame. Another one who played against Chelsea in a Carabao Cup match and was the best player on the pitch for Everton. We've never seen him in a blue shirt again. It's really weird what happens. And these kids, these aren't just kids that are good players. These are kids that won the under-23s league 2 seasons out of 3.
That's what I mean. Half of these players actually won, the England under-23s Euros.
Yeah. We've got good players. There's a couple in there now. There's a couple that you'll see on the bench for Everton probably tomorrow. Nathan Broadhead, Onyango. There's another player called Dennis Adrian. All of these players are very good players, but you sort of worry that they're not going to get the game time. They're not going to get the games. It's like Manchester City, for example. You look at Manchester City's team, and they must have some fantastic youth players. You only know Phil Foden.
Yeah.
And that's true. You almost have to become an extraordinary talent now to break into teams that sign a lot of players from abroad. So from an Everton perspective, in my opinion, it's a little bit disappointing what we've done with our youth teams over the years because I would have loved to have seen them have more games. However, can you throw these kids into games? For example, Everton haven't won a trophy in 25 years. Are you going to chance kids or win a trophy? And I think the argument for Everton is winning a trophy is far too important to the fans than it is breeding your kids in, which as much as I agree, I'd still love to see a kid come on for 10 minutes. We the other week when we played in the FA Cup, we brought on a player called Thierry Small, who is a left back. He's absolutely fantastic, really, really highly rated. Apparently Manchester City won him, Real Madrid won it. There's loads of big teams and European Galacticos that want him. My worry is, are you going to play him over Luca Dean? Are you going to play him over Niels Nkunku, who's been absolutely fantastic when he's played as well? That's my worry. So, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one from an Everton perspective. There is no doubt there is talent in that youth setup. It's just
we don't have a choice. We've got shit numbers. We've got shit numbers in our squad, so we've got to name a bench of about 6 youth players. And but
the positive is that they come through, they play. I don't know where you got Charlie Taylor from. I don't know if he's one of your own.
No, we got him from Leeds. He was part of the Leeds youth system.
Right.
I think we got him and Chris Wood in the same season.
Yeah, right. So there you go. McNeil, he's one of your own, isn't he?
Yeah. Jay Rodriguez. Rodriguez was one that came through our youth system.
So when you and this again is no disrespect to Burnley, like none, but you almost have to rely a little bit more on your youth setup than say an Everton, who are almost free spending to a degree.
Yeah.
If I was a player now, and guys, as I say, and I'm sort of addressing this with any of the kids that watches our channel. Remember, I played for Birmingham City and I broke my knee in a tackle, and that was it then. But if I was going to be a player now, if I had the opportunity to go and sign for a club, it would be a team that focuses on using youth, not a Man United, not a Manchester City, not an Arsenal, not a team where your kids ain't going to get a game of football. You need to be put in a situation where you play games. And Everton have had the issue with some of the youngsters we've signed. Ademola Lookman apparently had an horrific attitude. But I'm telling you now, I would have an horrific attitude if Klassen was played left midfield over me.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
You would do, because you want to play football. Kids are allowed to get frustrated, and that I sometimes don't get why some of these kids aren't given a go. We've also got Anthony Gordon, who is currently on loan at Preston. He looks like he's been fantastic there. But again, how many games is Anthony Gordon going to get when Everton have got wingers like Richarlison, Josh King? He'll play over Iwobi. Iwobi's pissed a lot of fans off with some of the things he's put on Instagram lately. But for me, it would be a struggle to break into a team that's fighting for the top 8 of the Premier League now.
Oh yeah, 100%. You've got to take into account these players are earning big wages. Like say Carlos come in, you've got a money bags at the back, who's to back up the manager. These players aren't going to come in, just take a wage and not play football.
No.
These players, they'll say, we will play for your club for X amount, per se, but we want to play football. We want to be. I don't want to disrespect it, but players like when Luca Dean signed at first, I thought, right, is he looking at Everton as some sort of stepping stone of saying, that I come in here, have an absolute worldie of a time at Everton. Yes, okay, I find an affection and affiliation with the fans, etc. But I'm looking at forging my career ahead, because it's so easy to go from playing for, was it Barcelona?
Yeah.
To go from there, and turn up in Liverpool. You've gone from some Catalan giants to, a team that has, people would always associate Liverpool with a red side. And I know that's horrible to say, but that's only because of the history and everything else. But people don't look at it. People don't look at it like that. And I'm glad that you've got those sort of players in. And I don't, I've obviously Carlos had quite a lot of a say in that, because the way he could sell, I don't know, he could sell an Asda fish to flaming Waitrose if he wanted to. That guy's. It's good to see. I'm glad to see Everton in a good place, though, because, like I say, for me, I'll be honest, I'll open up now, and I will say it here, and I'm probably going to regret saying it, but growing up, I didn't really know that much about football. When my mum met my stepdad, and I kind of learnt about Everton first. I had a blue hat, blue scarf.
Just so you know, guys, Dan's stepdad is an Everton fan. Just so you know.
I had a blue hat and a blue scarf, and I thought, right, I'll follow these guys, and eventually I just found my own sort of path and thought my hometown team and everything else. I won't mention about what my parents will say, because during that course that year, I said I kind of like Man United when I was a kid, and anyhow, luckily, nothing came of that. So I'm happy to say.
There you go. Right, last question, and then I'll let you go. Very quick score prediction.
Last night I said 1-1. I'm going to go 2-1 today. I'm feeling optimistic.
He's really confident today. Fair enough. Look, I'm sticking to mine. 1-0 Everton. I think it's a tight game.
Yeah.
I think both teams. I think Everton will lack creativity in the middle of the park. I think Burnley will be good defensively. I think eventually we'll grind you down and get a 1-0. But as I said to you, and as I said on my preview yesterday, I am worried about this game. I am genuinely worried about Burnley because we've not been great at homes against teams. And no disrespect to Burnley, but you would put Everton to fancy at home. You would do, but
Yeah.
It means fuck all. It means fuck all what's on a piece of paper, and what happens on the pitch is all that matters. Dan, where can people find you, mate?
All over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all under at Cricket Field End or the Cricket Field End, and obviously now starting up on YouTube under Cricket Field End TV.
There you go, guys. Make sure you go and subscribe to him. He's been a top guest, and Dan, I wish you luck for the rest of the season, but I don't wish you luck tomorrow.
100%. Likewise.
See you soon, bud. Peace.
See you, mate.